Welcome to the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. Please be seated and turn to page 2 of the liturgy book found underneath your cushion. Gata of atonement, all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, and may their vows be completely realized. May I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred, being close to some and distant from others. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Our reading today in the spiral-bound notebook is on page 10. Song of the Grassroot Hermitage. Song of the Grassroof Hermitage. I've built a grass hut where there's nothing of value. After eating, I relax and enjoy a nap. When it was completed, fresh weeds appeared. Now it's been lived in, covered by weeds. The person in the hut lives there calmly, not stuck to inside, outside, or in between. Places worldly people live, he doesn't live. Realms worldly people love, she doesn't love. Though the hut is small, it includes the entire world. In just this place, an old man illumines forms and their nature. A Mahayana Bodhisattva trusts without doubt. The middling or lowly can't help wondering, will this hut perish or not? Perishable or not, the original master is present, not dwelling north or north, west or west. Firmly based in steadiness, it can't be surpassed. A shining window below the green pines, jade palaces or vermilion towers can't compare with it. Just sitting with head covered, all things are at rest. Thus, this mountain monk doesn't understand at all. Living here, she no longer works to get free. Who would proudly arrange seats, trying to entice guests? Turn around, the light to shine within, then just return. The vast, inconceivable source can't be faced or turned away from. Meet the ancestral teachers. Be familiar with their instruction. Blind grasses to build a hut, and don't give up. Let go of hundreds of years and relax completely. Open your hands and walk innocent. Thousands of words, myriad interpretations are only to free you from obstructions. If you do not know the undying person in the hut, don't separate from this skin bag here and now. Please stand for the Heart Sutra on page 4 of the liturgy book. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, practicing deep Prajna Paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment. Since there is nothing to attain, the Bodhisattva lives by Prajna Paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by Prajna Paramita, attaining Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore know that Prajna Paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the Prajna Paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and proclaim: Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhi Swaha, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhi Swaha, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhi Swaha. On page 6, the Shosaimyo Kichujo Dharani. Shosaimyo Kichujo Dharani. Nomo Sanmanda Motokan Mohabroa Chikoto Sha Sono Nan Tuji To En Gya 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 gyaki, gyaki, unnun, shifura, shifura, hara, shifura, hara, shifura, chishusa, chishusa, chishuri, chishuri, sohaja, sohaja, senchi, gya, shirie, somoko, no ma, nathan manda, motonan, oharachi, kotosha, sononan, toji, toen, gya, 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 ki, gya, ki, unnun, shifura, shifura, hara, shifura, hara, shifura, chishusa, chishusa, chishuri, chishuri, sohaja, sohaja, senchi, gachirie, somoko, nomo, sanmanda, motonan, oharachi, kotosha, sononan, toji, toen, gya, 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 ki, unnun, shifura, shifura, hara, shifura, hara, shifura, chishusa, chishusa, chishuri, chishuri, sohaja, sohaja, senchi, gya, shirie, somoko. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind, birds and trees and stars, and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We recite our Gatha and our Sutra for the many beings of the world and dedicate our practice in grateful thanks to all our many guides along the ancient way. We especially dedicate these merits to Hannah, Renee, and Carol, those suffering from war, injustice, and calamity, Tom, Gary, Dan, and Uncle Mike at the time of their deaths, Virginia and Dr. Richard at the time of their passing, and those whose names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, Maha Prajna Paramita. Thank you for being here. Please prepare for Zazen. Please prepare for Kinhin walking meditation. At the sound of the clappers, the first and third rows on each side will turn to the right. Second and back rows will turn to the left. Follow the person in front of you on the same path. And we'll start out slowly. And then when you hear the clappers again, take a standing bow and continue a little bit more quickly. We will now recite the Sangha Covenant, which can be found on page 8 of the liturgy book. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated for today's talk. Please sit in a way that you're able to see the teacher. And stay on page 8 in the liturgy book for the Gatha on opening the sutra. Gatha on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered, even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to be here to practice together. Special welcome to those visiting here to explore the strange village. I hope you find your wanderings pleasurable and useful. We've just completed an intensive weekend we call Sesshin, which is a poorly named retreat. That's the word we have in English. We kind of go with it, but it's pretty poor word for what Sesshin, touching the heart-mind, actually is about. Rather than retreating and kind of closing in, actually, and perhaps counterintuitively, it has to do with really diving in and opening yourself up and being in full contact with your life, with our lives, with the living and with the dying of it. And it's something that takes an immense amount of courage to really take on. In the beginning, there's some excitement around the novelty of it, and hopefully that wears off fairly quickly, because that can actually get in the way of the real reason we're here. And we don't really have an infinite amount of time to do this work. None of us knows when will be our last sunrise. There are many ancestors who put their hands up rather forcefully about wanting to have a voice in today's talk, so hold on. I really don't know exactly what's going on, but we'll see if we can make some sense of it. Hakuin asserted himself. Hakuin, 16th century, a relatively recent ancestor in the way of our lineage. That's a pretty close in time compared to some of them. A reviver of the Rinzai practice of awakening in Japan. We read together today a very well-chosen Song of the Grass Roof Hermitage, and the last line, perhaps it caught your ear. If you want to know the undying person in the hut, do not separate from this skin bag, here and now. What? What is that about? What is this undying person in the hut? As a beginning query, this would be, is there some strange immortal living somewhere that you should meet and have counsel with, like in some Marvel universe hero story or something? Or what is this, right? The undying person in the hut, dear one, is yourself. It's your true nature. In the midst of all the churn and the coming and the going and the yeses and the nos and the boons and the banes and everything, hinder and yan, all of it, what is it that actually you can rely on? What can you truly take refuge in? And I don't mean just some elegant set of philosophical theorems that look beautiful when you diagram them. There are things like that. They're fulfilling in a way, but ultimately not. What is it that you can actually touch that is undying, that is, in the truest sense, worthy of you? What is it that we can connect with and realize that actually gives refuge in the midst of all of this coming and going? If you want to meet that true reality of yourself, if you want to attain the highest, badass enlightenment experience that any human has ever been able to attain, and be a Jedi master and do all the cool things, right? If you want to really put an end to suffering, what do you do? Is it a matter of traveling around the globe, seeking the exotic and the esoteric? Is it a matter of hiding yourself away because people are the problem, after all, are they not? I mean, what does one do? And the first ancestor who put their hand up rather insistently reminds us, do not separate from this skin bag, here and now. And, skin bag is kind of a funny term to our ears, probably, hopefully, right? And it's a little bit of a pejorative, it's a little bit of a slight, oh, skin bag, this sack, like another a tune in the same key, oh, rice bag, you rice bag. Just a itinerant monk who just feeds themselves with rice. That's all you are, a rice bag, So it's got a kind of it's kind of a nod to the bad smells and the pain and the snot and the the coarse aspects. You know, I mean, the teacher could have said, if you wish to, realize the undying truth of reality, then do not separate from this profound, miraculous, wondrous body of light and bliss. But that's not really what you hear. Don't separate from this skin bag. The same one who's got the knees that are giving you trouble, that is a decade older every year when you look in the mirror, for God's sake, what's happening here? That is subject to aging and illness and death. Like this body as it actually is. Not the one after you've done the workout plan you ponied up for, and you do the nutrition plan exactly on point, and then you finally accept your body in some theoretical future. The body right now. Do not separate from this skin bag here and now. Not some other place and not some other time. And are there not many times and places where we wish we would be at any other place or time? It can't be this. The great key to the mysteries of the universe can't be this. And it sure as hell can't be here. And it definitely isn't now. I've got to have some light body or something, or sprout angel's wings or some damn thing, and I've got to be in some exotic, amazing place at the perfect time. And the stars, by the way, have to be exactly right, and the bank account has to be like infinitely filled, and on and on. The banquet has to have all the favorite foods, on and on and on. No. Do not separate from this body right here and right now. Which perhaps raises a question. If that's true, why is there any need to gather in a temple? Why put on funny robes and chant and bow and incense and all these things? Like what, isn't this just as true at the corner of Reynolds and Bancroft? It is, but only if you can see it. And only the degree to which you can see it. So how do we access it? Well, here, Dogen kind of pushed his way in, as he often does, I have to say. Master Dogen, the Japanese 13th century teacher, so a few hundred years earlier than our other ancestor, associated with bringing the Soto line of Zen to Japan. He says this in his Shobogenzo. And this is during the period where he was really trying to form his monastery. He had a handful of cats in the band. I mean, it was like 5 guys, and they were off in this mountain. He had a death threat. He had to flee. The Tendai sect was in control at that time. They didn't like the idea of some alternative transmission coming in from the Holy Land. Like, this is not good for business. So he had to flee, So he's up there trying to make a go of it. And in the midst of all of this, he's teaching and trying to transmit the work. He says this practice of Buddha's cannot be experienced with the body without receiving it from a teacher. This practice of the Buddha's cannot be experienced with the body without receiving that experience of the body from a teacher, even if you have knowledge by birth. So while it's true that each of us is perfect and complete, lacking nothing, you don't need to add anything, you don't need to subtract anything, you don't need to be someone else or somewhere else or some other way to be able to actually realize that and live out of that. We need to connect with a living embodiment of that realization in a human form that we can actually interact with. And this is not some new novel feature. This is inherent since our original teacher Shakyamuni Buddha some 2,600 years ago to this day. As it is, there are 86 generations of disciples from the Buddha who became teachers all the way down to this place and this time with myself, as it happens to be, is the 87th generation, my teacher being the 86th. And this is not just, I don't know, religions can be really funny about these things, you know, the orthodox, the correct, the true, you know, and soon enough the Hatfields and the McCoys are slaughtering each other over things. Why? Like the Tendai tried to do. But just because humans can mess it up doesn't mean that there's not a healthy and true version. And there is one. This business of a teacher's job being to practice. That's what a teacher does. They practice the Dharma, just like we all do. And then the student's job is to practice with the teacher. And this is what Dogen is pointing to. This is what Dogen couldn't find. And if you read Dogen at all, you get pretty quick that he was a pretty high-watt bulb. He was very gifted intellectually, probably one of the great minds of humanity. There are many. He's probably one of them, I'd say definitely. And yet, for all his intellect and brilliance, there is a barrier there that he couldn't think his way through, which can be summed up with, what the hell? What the hell? What is this? What is happening here? Who am I? The intellect, it tries. It'll do cartwheels and flip-flops and light shows, but it can't really answer it if you're honest. And so Dogen himself needed to make a pilgrimage from Japan to China to try to find an actual realized teacher to practice with. And fortunately, he found one. With his skin bag, there and then. So you see, both of these things don't fight each other. They're both there. Knowledge by birth does not know knowledge beyond birth, and beyond knowledge beyond birth. Even those who have knowledge by birth would not know the great way of the Buddha ancestors unless they study it. And this is the thing, that there's a very vexing kind of trend where, because information has become so trite and so cheap, the great wisdom traditions of humanity have this way of being commodified, kind of skimmed and rebranded and sold and owned in this very insidious, to me, way. Because they have some kind of truth in there, but it's quite shallow. Believe me, anything you can get from one talk or a weekend workshop or a class online may have some use. But ultimately, it can't do the job for you. You must actually study and practice your true nature. Even though you can't be separated from it, you've never been away from it, and when you realize it, you realize you've been it all along. You don't get something from the teacher that suddenly is some new thing to yourself. You just realize what's inherent. But that business of actually realizing it and actually living out of it takes guts. It's like warrior stuff in a way. It takes gumption and gusto and effort, and you must actually engage. You can't just sit there on the lazy boy and kind of scroll through it. Your intellect will be satisfied that way. You'll see a meme, okay, I get it, nice. Pat yourself on the back, move on, have some more popcorn. But as soon as life smacks you upside the head, and it will, all those wonderful insights are just gone. They amount to zero. Have you noticed? Well, again, how do you meet the undying person in the hut for real? Work with a teacher. Study. Dig in. I mean, the amount of effort and commitment that was shown this weekend by the retreat participants is, to my mind, one expression of humanity at its best. We are capable of terrible and awful and just really bad things. We are. But we are also capable of incredible nobility and dignity and great compassion and wisdom. This is also a weekend. And so this business of studying your true nature and bringing it to life and giving life to your life and sharing it with others, what else are we here for? Is it just to collect all the things? Or to feel all the feels? Or to own all the stuff? Or what? Dogen continues, to experience yourself with the body and to experience others with the body is the great road of the Buddha ancestors. And it's kind of funny because the language is challenging at best. But most of the time, most of us have the sense that we have a body, and it's like dangling down there somewhere. And we're kind of up here in the control compartment, like actually running the show. You know, we think we are having a life. Here's me, and this is the life that I'm having or doing or enduring or what have you. And it's that essential misperception that puts us in disharmony with reality. It is that essential goof from which all the sufferings compound. How to resolve it, I promise you, you cannot think your way out of it. You can think clearly about it, but that doesn't do the whole work for you. There's some other aspect that has to come into your experiential awareness. Nothing wrong with intellect, obviously, but it's not sufficient. To experience your true self as body and to experience others with the body is the great road of the Buddha ancestors, not separating from this skin bag here and now. But notice Dogen is bringing in another element here. It's not just you and your own little project off by yourself. This business of others comes in. And this is necessary. This is not incidental. This is not just a little linguistic flourish. This is an essential component of the practice. Listen, he says, just turn the study of your beginner's mind and study simultaneously with other beginners' minds. When self and others study together with beginner's mind, then we arrive together at the ultimate realm. And this beginner's mind is one of the early teachings from Suzuki Roshi, who also raised his hand. I said beginner's mind, remember me? What the heck is that about, beginner's mind? There's easy things to say about it. You know, the famous quote for some is, in the expert mind, there are few possibilities, but in the beginner's mind, there are unlimited possibilities, something like this. But it's not just a hack to an open perspective. There's something much more profound being pointed to in this beginner place. After all, what does a complete beginner know about whatever it is they're beginning? Basically nothing. I mean, my very first guitar lesson back in 1977, I had no idea how much I didn't know about the guitar and music, right? Not a clue. Is that, are we, does this mean that then we're supposed to keep ourselves infants? We're supposed to never mature? We're supposed to stay as children and be, no. This is not what it means. Even the most seasoned jazz musician who gets up to play, the less they know about what they're doing, the better. At the highest level of virtuosity, this is what it actually is. It's this leap into the not knowing and seeing what rises from it. And if it's true and something is like music, it's even more so true in a much more important realm, which is your life, your daily life. Like the toothbrush life, the dishes, the stacking up of stuff that has to be dealt with. No, fuck it. That life. When no one's looking, that life. There, then, in this body. And so we come together and retreat. And there's a whole heck of a lot of beginner's mind going on. You know? You fool. You come here to retreat? Foolish mortal. You arrive to retreat and you're handed a bell. You will play this bell. No! I'm not here to do that. I'm here for awakening. Ring the bell. In this way, Dogen goes on to say, your own endeavor encourages the endeavor of others. And this is a point that I'm so encouraged by, that we really understand in this community that retreat is not by any stretch of the imagination just for the benefit of the retreat participants. And this is not just wishful thinking. The reality is that in the cycle, when session starts and the temple gates close and we begin our cloistered work, the entire Sangha in some way gets the benefit and the merit of this intensive practice that's going on. And when I first started training, I entered a place, not radically unlike this one, although this is nicer. Just to say it. But it seems such a fixed thing, It was that building and that teacher and these monks and these practitioners and that bell and this floor and that fan, whatever. Like my young 18-year-old mind thought that is it. What I didn't realize is I was encountering a living, breathing thing. It'd almost be like taking a picture of a flock of birds, and you go, psh, that's the flock of birds, and you have an instant. And you look at that and say, oh, I get it. That's what the flock of birds is. I got it. And then you go back and it's like, what? Where's the flock of birds? How's this? Now it's this way. Now it's that way. And as I've practiced over the decades, what I've seen is that there's this current of wisdom and intelligence that has to do with putting your body on that cushion. And it has to do with ringing that damn bell, and it has to do with all of the things that we do. And we each take our place on the high seat of our own lives and train and practice together. And in this body way, we actually get very intimately in touch with this wisdom tradition in a way that no book can even try to describe halfway adequately. Because now you're feeling it in your bones. You're embodying it. And there's a certain way in which it's not personal at all. Wherever we are in the mandala at the moment, please do not think you own that space. None of us do. I certainly don't. I very much hope that I am not the only abbot this place ever has. What a failure would that be? It would be tragedy. So the point is, you come in and you have a bell to ring or a seat to fill or a line to read, or fully do that, because that is exactly the center. And don't clutch, cling, or hold on to it. Completely open your hand and let it go. Gosh, would that have anything to say about how to live life? Here I am, the perfect relationship. Oops. Oh, I've got the perfect job. What? Oh, I love my kids. I'm so glad I've got that professorship, and oh God, I've got to go be a professor. I mean, this swirl, have you not noticed it yet? Has it not yet smacked your ass enough that you go, what's going on here? Really? It's very rare and to be immensely valued if you happen to be a young person and you have some sense of what I'm talking about. This is an immense advantage. Please do not waste it. There are so many young people that you think you're going to live forever and be beautiful forever and young forever and vigorous forever, and you can eat cardboard without care. It doesn't matter. And then suddenly, decades have gone by. Now, if you're lucky enough to notice this business and want to actually investigate, really connect with what your life is before it's gone, then you're in the right place. That's what the Buddha ancestors do. That's what we do. Belief won't help you. Intellectually getting it will not satisfy it. What actually does? In this way, your own endeavor encourages the endeavor of others. So it's this massive, thousands of years old food chain of blessing. Real blessing. True blessing. From teacher to student, from generation to generation, from century to century, across cultures and languages and modes of practice. There's this essential truth that every single ancestor realized, and it's you. You are the teachings. There's nothing that any of these, heavies in the tradition realized that you can't. There's nothing that they had that you don't have. Not essentially. How do we access it? Tahui, who I hope will be the last ancestor of this talk. Now, he's a Sung Dynasty Chinese heavy, right? Squarely in the 12th century, right? In trying to paint some kind of a picture that can be helpful about what this looks like, he said, by keeping mindful of the matter of birth and death, like that's your first step in his outline here. Be mindful of birth and death. Did you notice that I am of the nature to die line? There's a buzzkill, right? What? This place of light and cheer? What am I saying here? I thought Buddhists were supposed to be all chill and whatnot. What's going on? They're secretly all goths. No, but actually it's the first step. It's actually, be mindful of the matter of being alive and of dying. This is the ground intelligence, If people are shopping for an interesting experience, hey, come on in. This probably will count as one. But to really dig in, you have to have bumped up against this business of living and dying. And in our culture and society, this is more and more remote. If people start to get a little too ill, we put them over here somewhere, and there are specialists who handle that. And long gone are the days of multi-generational families living and dying and birthing in the same space together for generations on the same land. That's, most of us are quite distant from that. And then, add Instagram filters and only presenting the best pics in the best light in the best possible way. And suddenly, you're in your own little version of Shakyamuni's palace that his dad made to keep all the twinkling lights and all the happy feels to keep him from noticing. What did Shakyamuni actually notice that made him go, wait a minute? Death, aging, sickness. And so again, if you're lucky enough to have a serious brush with illness and still be here, well then good on you. Because now you got some fuel in your tank. This is not a game. Just a quick gosh show. How many people in this room would self-identify if you care to? You don't have to. Have you ever actually had a brush with death? Yourself, I mean. So a number of us have. Okay, that's serious. I remember one time in Boston, I was maybe 19, and there was a cop, and it was Massachusetts Avenue. Mass and Com Ave is where it was. That's a very busy intersection, right? And this cop was directing traffic, except, So I'm very naive, and so I look at the cop, and he looks at me and looks away, and he's kind of going like this, and I figure, fine. So I walk. Now there's a cab to whom the laws of physics do not apply. Like red means stop. This cab, I don't know exactly how it happened, but instead of me being under the cab, I kind of walked into the side of the cab. Do you know what I'm saying? So the cab's going along, and I walked right into the thing. And I don't know to this day if he swerved a little bit so that he wouldn't hit me, or I don't know what was going on. I think I was looking at the cop, actually. So I'm walking, and I see the cop there, and then the cab, and then suddenly I'm in full contact with like a couple tons of metal that's going fast. And luckily, I didn't just go under. Fortunately, I'd been studying Aikido, and still do. And one of the first things you learn, and this is why I sometimes say Aikido has saved my life, I took ukemi from a cab, meaning I rolled and rolled and rolled, and there's no time to think about it. So I rolled along the side of the cab, and for some reason, I was able to keep myself above rather than go under where the wheels are, you know what I mean? And this happened real fast. And the cab just kept driving. And I'm there on the street, kind of dazed, and the cop looks at me, and he just keeps with his whistle. I mean, this is the 80s, mind you, I hope things have improved, but I stood myself up, and I just walked to class. But what is this? Yeah, that could have been that, right? Very easily that could have been that. But it wasn't. And that little adventure added to the fuel of my fire. Wait a minute. That just happened. actually that didn't happen, but it kind of happened. It almost happened. What the hell happened? You know what I mean? So this being mindful of the matter of life and death, this is a big deal. So he says, by keeping mindful of the matter of birth and death, your mental technique is already correct. There's someone who looks like he needs a signature out back, if someone could go and meet him. Delivery of some kind. Thank you, Hoshi. So by being mindful of the matter of birth and death, your mental technique is already correct. Once the mental technique is correct, then you won't, and listen, this is important, you won't need to use effort to clear your mind as you respond to circumstances in your daily activities. And now we're starting to zoom in on something very critical. Okay? If you're aware of the precious human life and the impermanence of it, already you have right view. And if you have this right view, then you will not need to use your own personal effort to clear your mind. You know, if you want to really have an experience in frustration, sit there and try to clear your mind the whole time. Can anybody relate? Okay. Oh, I can do this. Oh, here we go. I got this. Oh, have you? All right. I'll give you 5 minutes. In the relentlessness of retreat, this becomes so apparent that eventually you have to surrender. Unless you're extraordinarily stubborn, and some of you are. So it takes a couple of retreats. But sooner or later, you just can't keep trying to do that. It's exhausting. And it's not even what you're supposed to be doing. It doesn't matter that in beginning instruction, this is spelled out ridiculously clearly multiple times. That is irrelevant. The guidance has been given. Yeah, I got it. As soon as you're sitting there by yourself, right, and the bell rings, where's the guidance? When are they going to ring the damn bell? What's happening here? Okay, now you're actually encountering your own mind. This is very different from watching some show or following a meditation app, or this is you, baby. This is you and your life. Direct. And your mind is incredibly crafty and sneaky, the ego, I should say. I mean, it can co-opt anything and everything. Fortunately, there's other ways to practice. The teacher goes on, once the mental technique is correct, because you're mindful of precious human life and birth and death, you won't need to use effort to clear your mind as you respond to circumstances in your daily activities, because you do have to respond. If you try to take Zen and say, oh, this is about me escaping my life, I'm just going to sit here in this wonderful temple and not deal with anything anymore, that is not going to work out for you. First of all, it won't happen on my watch. But even if there was some option for that, it would be, it's doomed. It's like the Titanic, full speed ahead into a sea of icebergs. You have to respond to the circumstances you're in. Whether it's being a young person or an aged person or a person who's alone or a person who's smushed by too many other people or whatever it is. You have to respond. So when you don't actively try to clear your mind, then you don't go wrong. Since you don't go wrong, correct mindfulness stands out alone. When correct mindfulness stands out alone, this is important, inner truth adapts to phenomenon. This is meaning to say that your own inner reality is actually harmonizing with the circumstances that you're in, even if you don't like it, even if you're delighted by it. that doesn't matter. How much suffering is caused because our own inner reality is a clenched fist against what is actually true. Right? And it's your own light show. It's your own show in there. Unclench that fist. When inner truth adapts to events and things, then events and things come to fuse with your inner truth, and there's no separation between them. You're not a person in a situation. That's too separate. That's doomed to pain and suffering. You are the situation. Be the situation. Realize the situation and be free as and in that situation. Ring the damn bell. Or not. You do it wrong, you get some feedback. You do it right, you don't get a pat on the head. Unless you do. But just be where you are and really practice it. Inner truth, your inner truth, harmonizes with circumstances and events, and then the circumstances and events harmonize with your inner truth, and then there's no separation between them. And I'll close with this. When this happens, you save power. Well, there's an interesting word. Power? Like, this is before electricity was harnessed and used. It's talking about chi or ki, prana, lung, depends on the language and tradition. But power, vajra, the power of the Buddha. When your inner truth harmonizes with circumstances, and circumstances harmonize with your inner truth, and they're realized as not separate, then you save power. And when you feel this saving, this is the empowerment of studying the path. What? Wait a minute. So wait, I don't have to clear my mind. There's something very much else going on here. Harmonizing inner and outer. Got nothing to do with you scrubbing your mind free. And then when you feel that this power is being conserved, is being saved, then in gaining power, you save unlimited power. In saving unlimited power, you gain unlimited power. Kind of a Sith-sounding thing all of a sudden at the end. Unlimited power. But the undying person in the hut is nothing other than an expression of that. If you live your life as a shadow, then the entire society is diminished. Not just you, everybody. If I had been hit by that cab and had that experience and said the world is scary, I'm just gonna stay in my mom's basement forever. And that's what I did. The world would be less, would it not? And that's true for every one of us, not just me. So this ability to actually face the circumstances of our lives and harmonize with them and have them harmonize with us, this is the real magic. This is the real power. This is the Buddha's action in the world. This is the path of awakening actually made manifest. And it has to do with that toothbrush and those dishes and that pile of bills, and that phone call you need to make, and that relationship you need to tend to, and that grief that you need to really feel. Do not separate from this skin bag right here, right now. May it be so.
Bodhisattva vows on page 8. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Thank you again for coming today. That concludes our service. There will be a lunch following this service out in the common area, and all are welcome to stay and enjoy that. Are there any more announcements? Please come up.
Is it working? Okay. Regarding the lunch, it does take a little bit of time for us to get it set up and to open the line, so please hang out. If you're interested in having, I believe we have 2 sort of harvest soup type things that we'll be offering. I'm not sure what else is there. But anyway, we're going to be doing that. Also, if anyone is aware of the monthly dinner outing that we normally do, it would be tomorrow evening, and I'm just going to cancel it because of session and everybody's exhausted. So next month. Anyone else?
Rinson mentioned the retreat that we just finished several times. So this is an invitation to all those who know exactly what that's about to register for the next one. November is the last one of the year that's open to the whole community. So get your November retreat in, and then there'll be 11 more next year coming up, or 10 more next year coming up soon. But if you've never been to retreat before and you're a member of the temple, or you're close to thinking about becoming a member of the temple, please connect with me about going to your first session. We would love to practice with you in just the ways Roshi was describing. So see me to get that kicked off. I'm Suise. Thank you.
I'm Eka. This is a request I have. I am looking for a co-leader to run teen Dharma school starting next year, but I'm looking for someone with the pronouns he or they. So if that fits you, I would seek me out and we can talk about what teen Dharma will look like next year.
My name is Kyoan, and I'm the lead Dharma school teacher. Dharma school is Sunday school for the wee Buddhas in our community, and we had a vibrant program pre-pandemic and at the beginning, and then we've took a pause. So today after service, a few of us who have courageously volunteered to teach on occasion. We're having a little teacher training, and if you are interested in helping in any way, whether it's as a teacher or as an assistant, you just want to be an extra adult in the room to help out as needed, or if you have kids that you think would want to participate, please see me. I'm Kyoan. I think that's it. Thank you.
So finally, to come back to death, which we always do. Not next Sunday, the following Sunday, the 30th, we're going to have a workshop on death and dying at 1:30, specifically around what the temple will facilitate for funerals, memorial services, for ourselves, for our loved ones, how we're going to vision the cemetery. So please, if you can attend, please mark your calendars. It'll be really informative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please restore the Zendo.